Cameroon say the time for them to recover the 16 billion CFA francs owed them by big consumers of their work is now, and they will spare no effort to persuade such debtors to pay their arrears. The amount of unpaid authors' rights accumulated over the period of 2005 to 2017 is said to be as a result of the failure of brewery and telephone companies to respect contracts established with the Musical Arts Corporation in this regard. Emanuela Vemue went finding out why the current state of affairs and what's in view to succeed in this mission, and now reports.
Musicians in Cameroon are angry. 16 billion CFA francs is owed them by big consumers of their works like brewery and telephone companies, while they wallow in misery. This, they say, must stop.
We'll never give up, because now we stand to defend our rights.
We
have woken up from slumber because it is unacceptable that a company that makes 18 billion francs as gain refuses to pay even 500 million to artists whose musics are used to sell their drinks.
There are quite a number of companies that are still rejecting the bills that have been served them, and artists are putting into place a strategy to force them.
The cacophony in the authors' right management body between 2005 to 2017 gave the over 25 companies the leeway to sit on the dues of the artist, but not anymore.
They may take court decisions which will enable them to seize their property, or they may stage even sit-ins to ensure that this money is paid.
We'll use the laws. We have laws in Cameroon. We have justice in Cameroon, and sometimes equity.
If ongoing negotiations fail, musicians say they are ready to use force to regain every dime owed them.
Any of these brewery and telephone companies that wouldn't pay will have us in their premises even if it takes a month. We will take off our celebrity outfits to fight for our rights.
It would be a wonderful thing if the government accompanies us by giving us the elements of the forces of law and order, or even authorities of taxation who can seal those structures and force them to pay.
Until then, their hope is for their debtors to be Republican enough to pay in what they owe the artist.
The Cameroon Radio Television CRTV has been cited as an example of the only company nationwide to respect the payment of authors' rights. Recently, the state broadcaster paid the sum of 112 million as royalties to the National Association of Musical Arts, SONACAM, and is making an effort to regularize arrears. Cynthia Saptala looks into how CRTV does it and put together this report.
This latest piece of musical art, playing at the FM 94, is being registered by the broadcast clerk and would eventually be amongst the list of music to receive royalties from the Cameroon Radio and Television.
We have an organization. We know, let's say, around roughly what we have to pay every year, and we make provisions for that. And when the time comes, we just issue the money and we pay.
The state broadcaster is the only company to acknowledge and respect authors' rights.
The CRTV has been cited as a good example, because CRTV every year pays authors' rights to the tune of about 350 million. In fact, it is the company that has permitted authors' rights companies to be able to pay the first repartitions to the artists.
With artists citing over 25 big users of music unable to emulate this example of the CRTV, talk less of small businesses like bars. Some propose alternative solutions such as the collection of royalties as a form of taxes.
Cameroonians are highly endowed, and though many musicians and artists have realized great feats, it is surprising that many have not been rewarded to the value of their works or performances. This is why it is embarrassing that some popular artists end up miserable or living in unbelievable conditions. In the following write-up, Noeya Ben Modeka reflects on the ideal outcome in the event, where there were established reliable and responsible payment and management of the rights of Cameroonian artists. Noeya?
The cat would eat fish, both fresh and smoked, but would not touch water. This is how many consume musical and artistic products, but will not pay. Then musicians, painters, photographers and writers realize great feats, but still go begging, even when their products sell illegally and illegally. Have you heard of piracy, plagiarism, and photocopying? Yes, the open violation of authors' rights. But like Chinua Achebe's bird, which learned to fly without perching because hunters shot without missing, many musicians are said to have had a fair share of providence. They allegedly squandered all the chances, as if some golden opportunities do not come only once in a lifetime. This is why people would be scandalized to see or hear that some respected, time-honored artists are just at a particular level of life. After enjoying quite some fame and glory, no one understands how a musician who could make up to 2 million francs a night in his heydays is still going on foot, renting, cannot pay his medical bills, or still counting on charity. The earnest wish is that the joy they give comes back to them.
Wise words there, Nwea. And in other news, participants from the different units of the administration have met in Yaoundé to examine the execution of the 2021 state budget with a view of fine-tuning strategies and redefine follow-up indicators to achieve better results. The one-day conference, which is the first of its kind, was presided at by the Director of Budget, Cyril Allo Edom. Luma Slim Davis tells us more.
The budget is an important state instrument that overhauls the entire state machinery for development purposes. It is, however, important for the budget to be well executed for desired results on the provision of social amenities and economic development for the country. Participants at the conference for budget execution examined the context of the 2021 budget execution with particular attention on the constraints, stakes and challenges, the difficulties encountered while executing the budget, as well as methods of increasing amounts collected on revenue not included in the taxation bracket. Also of major concern to the participants is the anticipation of managing expenditures considering the modalities of management and the functioning of second-party accounts considered as basket funds, amongst others.
A partnership for the mutual agreed terms to access genetic resources between a Swiss company, Firmenich, and the Pimbo community in the Gambé subdivision in the Littoral region was endorsed by both parties today in Yaoundé. Chairing the official signing ceremony, the Minister of Environment and Nature Protection, L.A. Pierre, insisted that the agreement is tailored to ease the equitable benefits sharing from the exploitation of two genetic resources from Pimbo between the company and the local community. Details with Joyce Kimbi Forwajo.
The Bimbo community and the Firmenich company, government witnessing, entered a mutual understanding defining modalities of accessing and sharing benefit from the exploitation of two generic resources from their environment, including the Mbongo spice.
Within this document, you have non-financial and financial benefit. Non-financial benefit means some advantages coming from maybe sponsoring at the local level the project of development.
Its importance is confirmed by the presence of 4 cabinet ministers. Top company executives follow online, locals visibly satisfied with a 3-year harvest from 2021 to 2024.
I'm so proud because it is our nature, it is how are we using our nature. And now with Nagoya Protocol, we know that with our traditional knowledge and our environment between different products, will build many industries.
Fallout from 4 months negotiation that was recently concluded by an enacted law by the head of state on modalities of accessing and distribution of benefits from biodiversity conservation in Cameroon, according to the United Nations Convention.
The project to construct some 44 metallic bridges in all the 10 regions of Cameroon was at the center of discussions during a video conference involving all concerned parties in the project. The parties discussed possibilities of resuming constructions. Resolutions include a program to joint mission to the construction sites from next week and the activation of financing corridors to take constructions after 2 years stoppage. The second meeting, chaired by the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi, was to examine feasibility studies for the Edea Kribi Campo and the Douala Limbe Idinao railway lines. Discussions involved all investors implicated in the execution of both projects. We take you out to the littoral region where a group of entrepreneurs from the Centre Val de Loire region in France is in Cameroon for a 3-day business and company visit. The entrepreneurs are presently meeting with heads of small and medium-sized enterprises and private companies in Douala to discuss ways to get acquainted with the private investment environment. The entrepreneurs will continue their 3-day visit in Yaoundé, as you tell us, Cynthia Etim from Douala.
The 4 investors from France are inspecting the business climate in Cameroon in the areas of mechanical and civil engineering, biometry, health, renewable energy and wood processing sector.
We are looking for representatives and also people who know IT, infrastructure to help us to deploy our material or to maintain it.
The B2B exchange between heads of SMEs in Douala and the French investors equally seeks to foster economic ties between Cameroon and France, with participants envisaging favorable fallout from the encounter.
Expect from them it's mostly their innovative solutions on what they offer as contrary to what is present here.
The encounter, which is under the patronage of the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, is an initiative of the Subcontracting and Partnership Exchange of Cameroon.
We have companies member of SPX who are there qualified even to carry out the activities in Cameroon just through a partnership. So if they can partner with these SMEs, they can stay in France and maybe have contracts in Cameroon.
The delegation, led by the first advisor, the Cameroon embassy in France, Perpetué Meunier Owona, will proceed with their business visit to Yaoundé.
Some 46 police and gendarmerie officers from 7 African countries have completed the Higher Diploma for Security Studies BEST 7 and the Senior Staff Diploma of Security Forces DEMS 10. They received their end-of-course attestations during a ceremony presided over by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Board Chair of the International School for Security Forces A4's Joseph Betty Asamo. The joint graduation ceremony marks the official start of their careers as planners in the management for security issues at the national and international levels. Every Steke tells us more.
8 cabinet ministers to grace the graduation of 2 batches of police and gendarmerie officers from 7 African countries. 25 of them spent 10 months in Cameroon studying operational planning and management of security issues at the International School for Security Forces, E-Force, in Yaoundé. The officers from Cameroon, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire and Mali graduated with a higher degree in Security Studies, BEST 7. 21 others from Senegal, Congo and Cameroon also completed the staff training in the same institution and were issued the Senior Staff Diploma of Security Forces, DEMFS 10. The 7th and 10th batches, respectively, were reminded to be worthy ambassadors of the International School for Security Forces while in their respective countries. The school, which is today an ECAS and African Union Excellence Center in the training of security forces and the first of its kind to train both police and gendarmerie components. During the graduation ceremony, marked by the award of insignia and prizes to the laureate, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betty Asamo, announced that E-Force will be relocating to its final and permanent premises in Hawaii on the outskirts of Yaoundé.
Public Health Minister Dr. Manauda Malashi is on a 3-day working visit to the Adamawa region. He is visiting health facilities in that part of the country for an assessment of their infrastructure and equipment. In the report that follows, Beatrice Ngom says the minister was shocked by the plethora of problems plaguing the health sector in the Adamawa, some of which could be handled internally. Beatrice?
The minister's visit started at the Ngaoundere Reference Health Center under construction. This health facility, which was to be delivered since 2018, is still in an imaginable state. Contractors are asking for more time, but the angered minister has rejected their plea. The facility must be ready by August, he told them. Elsewhere, same frustration. The Ngaoundere Regional Hospital is sick. Work on the hemodialysis center needs to be relaunched. The reanimation service restored to life again, as out of 62 patients received recently, 31 died. The mammography since inauguration has not functioned because of a repair problem of 500,000 CFA. Worst of all, the 150 million scanner acquired for the hospital has been out of service for the past 4 years.
We have so many problems earlier. We are solving this problem and we are going to ameliorate to strengthen the situation here.
The situation is no better with specialists, only 8 for a population of 1.5 million.
We are working on a national plan of development of resources, human resources, and we have about 45 and 50,000 persons to recruit in our sector.
A surgery of the entire health situation in the region, which will as well take Minister Manauda to the localities of Mbe, Tigné and Gaundal.
Board members of Crise have lauded the smooth and transparent management of the finances of the hospital center, following a detailed study of the financial and administrative reports. While the success rate of endoscopic surgery and the techniques of in vitro fertilization have been encouraging, much is still to be done in the treatment of the different gynecological cancers. Staff Lady Anaga Kebi has the details from Crise.
Top on the agenda for deliberation by the board members of Crise during the 6th ordinary session was the management of the 2020 budget. Emphasis was on research, endoscopic surgery, in vitro fertilization and cancerology.
We have a control. This control should be done by financial sectors. And at the end of the year, every sector has to bring his report, his statement, and we should have a concordance, a link between the two.
Despite the success rate of in vitro fertilization and endoscopic surgery at Crise, much is still to be done in the management and treatment of gynecological cancers. Also of interest to board members was the personnel status. Here the salary scale was well deliberated upon, as well as the social status of workers. Meantime, training and research must be encouraged alongside teamwork and collaboration with local and international experts. At the end of the elaborate session, the board members congratulated Professor Jean-Marie Cassia, the general manager, and his team of experts for maintaining the standards expected of them by the public and the presidential couple. Crise is on the right track.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
In our COVID-19 slot, over 300,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will arrive Cameroon tonight at 8 p.m. to add to the number of available vaccines in Cameroon to fight against the coronavirus. But just how is this vaccine going to be distributed and administered to individuals? Let's hook up with Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Tambasha Afizo, who are on standby at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Gladys Tata. It is one of the vaccines that some Cameroonians are anxiously waiting for to have themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus, given that it's supposed to arrive Cameroon anytime soon. Let's find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Afizu Tambashu of the National Immunization Program. Where are we exactly talking about the Johnson & Johnson in Cameroon? Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening.
Where are we so far with the vaccine Johnson & Johnson?
For the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, actually we requested for over 5.3 million doses of the vaccine, and the first consignment of the vaccine, which is about 300,000, will be arriving in the country. So we are just assuring Cameroonians that the vaccines are available. They can go to the closest vaccination centers for their shots.
Over 5 million doses asked for, with just about 300,000 doses that will be arriving in Cameroon. What about the other doses?
The other doses will be arriving when we feel the need that we need the vaccine. So it has been requested already.
So Cameroonians, when the first doses, the 300,000 doses arrive Cameroon, in any of these vaccination centers can feel free to have themselves administer the vaccines?
Yes, all over the 10 regions, these vaccines will be available there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tambashu Afiz of the National Immunization Program, with over 300,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that will be arriving in Cameroon. A reassurance on the part of the National Immunization Program: go and have yourselves vaccinated against the coronavirus wherever you find yourself in the 10 different regions of the country. Back to you, Gladys Tata.
Thank you, Baldwin Sama. No living human being can live without water. Water is an important resource to the world's people who use it either for chores or for drinking purposes. For the Sawa people, it goes beyond this perception as it provides a link with their ancestors. These people who live at the waterfront have a mystical relationship with this resource. Their penchant for water is what we took interest in today in our news series, Cameroon, My Beautiful Country. Gladys Atemba Chechuma Banla explains this relationship between the Sawa people and water in the following report.
Lives are inextricably linked to water. Between the Sawa people of Douala and water, there is a fine line that separates the two. From time immemorial, the people known as the Sawa people have relied on water for virtually everything.
Sawa people believe that water was first created before everything. As the eldest of all creation, therefore, everything began with water. As water people, we are convinced that our proximity to water serves us a lot because we use it to carry out ceremonies and perform certain rites. For us, water is the place where we live, work, and worship.
That is why even the Ngondo festival is a communion between the people and water. It is, however, believed that there are a lot of mysteries surrounding their relationship with water, considering the fact that people disappear into the Vuri River and come out dry during the festival.
Water people all over the globe have a certain type of alliance with mystical powers. You need to understand that life in itself is a mystery. Sawa people have a special relationship with the water spirit, which in Douala is called Jengu. We consult this spirit when fishing is not yielding fruits, women have problems to conceive, and when business is not flourishing. So the Jengu intercedes on our behalf before the Supreme God.
Far from these mystical powers, water in itself in the Sawa land has a cultural undertone. The importance of water cannot be overemphasized, given that even the country Cameroon obtained its name from it, and today the country's economy greatly relies on it.
We now take you over to the Northwest region to talk on parents and guardians who have been engaging their kids in several outdoor activities this holidays for the enhancement of their social and creative skills. About 70 of them who are enrolled in a swimming school in Bamenda have for the past 1 month been taught safety techniques and how to control their body movements when submerged in water. Mercy Kusi sat through one of these swimming lessons and sent in the following report from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
Behind your head, right behind your head, take a deep breath. Come.
They are within the 3 to 15-year age range and they look forward to every swimming lesson with a lot of enthusiasm.
I am happy because the people who teach me are so kind. They don't shout at us, they teach us with a kind attitude. Anything that we do wrong, they correct us with a kind voice.
The course has 4 modules, during which the kids are taught how to roll their bodies and take a breath while in water.
We do freestyle, we do breaststroke, we do backstroke, and we are planning to do butterfly. If we do the 4, means we have done all basic professional swimming because we are doing basically professional swimming here.
During the lessons, their parents and guardians watch in admiration.
I know when it's school period, they are done with schoolwork. When it's holiday, they should acquire something new. I, for one, am really grateful because my daughter has come out of her comfort zone. I really wanted her to leave the house and come and meet new children because she's my only daughter.
Apart from swimming, the holiday makers also get involved in other leisure activities like dancing.
Take your shoulders.
As you all know, the Eid el-Kabir was observed yesterday nationwide. We still have reports on how the feast unfolded in some corners of the Republic. In this newscast, we take you to the southwest region where Muslim faithfuls in Boya were urged to shun all forms of drug abuse in order to live in peace and promote development in the region. The Imam of the Boya Central Mosque, Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, made the call while celebrating the Feast of the Ram. Details with Annabelle Ndike Eno Anyang from Crtv Southwest in Boya.
Muslim faithful in Boya came out massively to celebrate the Feast of Tabaski despite the early morning shower. While preaching from the Quran, the Imam of the Boya Central Mosque encouraged parents to build and shepherd their children against social ills while urging the youth to avoid drug abuse.
We find today youths who attack with knives, who kill, who do not have value for human life. Some of them are dropped, parents to take over their responsibility, and that the state should do their duty too.
In the meantime, some faithful have expressed gratitude to Allah for His mighty protection amid the COVID-19 pandemic and hope that He will continue to protect them.
We have prayed to Allah that He should help us and eradicate the coronavirus. I've asked Allah for long life and good health.
The feast, which brings an end to the long weekend, was attended by government authorities and other religious leaders.
And in sports, 18-year-old Cameroonian swimmer Elizabeth Nora Milanese is one of the country's Trust 12 competitors at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. On a pioneer expedition at the Games, the teenage aspires raising Cameroon's flag higher by winning precious medals for Team Cameroon. In a countdown to the Olympic Games, here is more on the athlete with Romeo Kenny.
She is one of Cameroon's flag bearers in swimming at the forthcoming Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics. Elizabeth Nora Milanese picked Olympic qualification in March last year. The 18-year finished winner in the women's 50-meter freestyle and 100 fly at the African Championship in Ghana with 2 gold medals.
I will compete with the best in the world, and this is an honor for me, and I'm also really happy to represent Cameroon, my country.
It will be her first ever participation at the top-notch competition. She has nourished ambition outclassing opponents to enter honors.
Our last week in Ita for our stage, and we are beginning to reduce and decrease a little bit the length of the training in order to arrive as prepared as we can to the Olympic Games.
Pairings of teams will unfold this Thursday, with games set to start on Friday. Team Cameroon is in its 15th consecutive appearance at the Olympic Games.
And that does it on this edition. Thanks for watching. You'll be in the company of Romeo Trisengok at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back same time tomorrow, God willing. Until then, the 7:30 crew join me in wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.